world is electrifying fast. By 2050, electricity will be the planet's largest energy source. Each year, we see remarkable growth in solar, wind, and other renewable energy sources. But even with renewables scaling faster than ever, global CO2 emissions from fossil fuels are still growing. That's why it's so important for the world to accelerate the transition towards clean energy. It requires a system-level, holistic approach. This means focusing on three critical segments: fossil fuel to clean energy transition, accelerating 24/7 carbon-free clean energy adoption in commercial and industrial sectors, AI infrastructure with 24/7 carbon-free energy with sustainability-first approach. Clean energy transition needs a customized agentic system with multiple agents approach to drive these three focus areas. Introducing CLEM, an agentic system that orchestrates the specific, tailor-made requirements of each stakeholder in the power ecosystem. CLEM enables the shift from fossil fuel systems to clean energy, using structured, practical, and de-risked pathways that make transitions achievable. CLEM helps plant owners with due diligence, transition strategies, and the right technologies, recovering gaps, securing cash flows, and ensuring bankability. For financial institutions, CLEM reduces the risks of stranded assets, unlocks new bankable opportunities, and lowers financed emissions. For demand, CLEM helps businesses transition to 24/7 carbon-free energy, ensuring reliable, economical access to a clean energy mix while enabling net zero goals. On the supply side, CLEM enables clean energy demand for power producers and helps raise funds for new projects, driving growth in renewable energy. Through finance, CLEM identifies bankable clean energy opportunities and reduces financed emissions, making investments both sustainable and profitable. CLEM delivers agentic systems for the vertical integration of AI data centers, bringing together 24/7 carbon-free energy and innovative financing to build a global AI inference platform with sustainability at its core. CLEM supports the entire ecosystem, helping data center off-takers, investors, OEM vendors, and clean energy providers orchestrate the clean energy transition across supply, demand, and investment. The world is electrifying fast. By 2050, electricity will be the planet's largest energy source. Each year, we see remarkable growth in solar, wind, and other renewable energy sources. But even with renewables scaling faster than ever, global CO2 emissions from fossil fuels are still growing. That's why it's so important for the world to accelerate the transition towards clean energy. It requires a system-level, holistic approach. This means focusing on three critical segments: fossil fuel to clean energy transition, accelerating 24/7 carbon-free clean energy adoption in commercial and industrial sectors, AI infrastructure with 24/7 carbon-free energy with sustainability-first approach. Clean energy transition needs a customized agentic system with multiple agents approach to drive these three focus areas. Introducing CLEM, an agentic system that orchestrates the specific, tailor-made requirements of each stakeholder in the power ecosystem. CLEM enables the shift from fossil fuel systems to clean energy, using structured, practical, and de-risked pathways that make transitions achievable. CLEM helps plant owners with due diligence, transition strategies, and the right technologies, recovering gaps, securing cash flows, and ensuring bankability. For financial institutions, CLEM reduces the risks of stranded assets, unlocks new bankable opportunities, and lowers financed emissions. For demand, CLEM helps businesses transition to 24/7 carbon-free energy, ensuring reliable, economical access to a clean energy mix while enabling net zero goals. On the supply side, CLEM enables clean energy demand for power producers and helps raise funds for new projects, driving growth in renewable energy. Through finance, CLEM identifies bankable clean energy opportunities and reduces financed emissions, making investments both sustainable and profitable. CLEM delivers agentic systems for the vertical integration of AI data centers, bringing together 24/7 carbon-free energy and innovative financing to build a global AI inference platform with sustainability at its core. CLEM supports the entire ecosystem, helping data center off-takers, investors, OEM vendors, and clean energy providers orchestrate the clean energy transition across supply, demand, and investment. The world is electrifying fast. By 2050, electricity will be the planet's largest energy source. Each year, we see remarkable growth in solar, wind, and other renewable energy sources. But even with renewables scaling faster than ever, global CO2 emissions from fossil fuels are still growing. That's why it's so important for the world to accelerate the transition towards clean energy. It requires a system-level, holistic approach. This means focusing on three critical segments: fossil fuel to clean energy transition, accelerating 24/7 carbon-free clean energy adoption in commercial and industrial sectors, AI infrastructure with 24/7 carbon-free energy with sustainability-first approach. Clean energy transition needs a customized agentic system with multiple agents approach to drive these three focus areas. Introducing CLEM, an agentic system that orchestrates the specific, tailor-made requirements of each stakeholder in the power ecosystem. CLEM enables the shift from fossil fuel systems to clean energy, using structured, practical, and de-risked pathways that make transitions achievable. CLEM helps plant owners with due diligence, transition strategies, and the right technologies, recovering gaps, securing cash flows, and ensuring bankability. For financial institutions, CLEM reduces the risks of stranded assets, unlocks new bankable opportunities, and lowers financed emissions. For demand, CLEM helps businesses transition to 24/7 carbon-free energy, ensuring reliable, economical access to a clean energy mix while enabling net zero goals. On the supply side, CLEM enables clean energy demand for power producers and helps raise funds for new projects, driving growth in renewable energy. Through finance, CLEM identifies bankable clean energy opportunities and reduces financed emissions, making investments both sustainable and profitable. CLEM delivers agentic systems for the vertical integration of AI data centers, bringing together 24/7 carbon-free energy and innovative financing to build a global AI inference platform with sustainability at its core. CLEM supports the entire ecosystem, helping data center off-takers, investors, OEM vendors, and clean energy providers orchestrate the clean energy transition across supply, demand, and investment. The world is electrifying fast. By 2050, electricity will be the planet's largest energy source. Each year, we see remarkable growth in solar, wind, and other renewable energy sources. But even with renewables scaling faster than ever, global CO2 emissions from fossil fuels are still growing. That's why it's so important for the world to accelerate the transition towards clean energy. It requires a system-level, holistic approach. This means focusing on three critical segments: fossil fuel to clean energy transition, accelerating 24/7 carbon-free clean energy adoption in commercial and industrial sectors, AI infrastructure with 24/7 carbon-free energy with sustainability-first approach. Clean energy transition needs a customized agentic system with multiple agents approach to drive these three focus areas. Introducing CLEM, an agentic system that orchestrates the specific, tailor-made requirements of each stakeholder in the power ecosystem. CLEM enables the shift from fossil fuel systems to clean energy, using structured, practical, and de-risked pathways that make transitions achievable. CLEM helps plant owners with due diligence, transition strategies, and the right technologies, recovering gaps, securing cash flows, and ensuring bankability. For financial institutions, CLEM reduces the risks of stranded assets, unlocks new bankable opportunities, and lowers financed emissions. For demand, CLEM helps businesses transition to 24/7 carbon-free energy, ensuring reliable, economical access to a clean energy mix while enabling net zero goals. On the supply side, CLEM enables clean energy demand for power producers and helps raise funds for new projects, driving growth in renewable energy. Through finance, CLEM identifies bankable clean energy opportunities and reduces financed emissions, making investments both sustainable and profitable. CLEM delivers agentic systems for the vertical integration of AI data centers, bringing together 24/7 carbon-free energy and innovative financing to build a global AI inference.
Okay, hello everyone. Sorry about that. Welcome. It's great to be here. Good morning to you all. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of Sustainability Economics.AI, I am thrilled to welcome you to today's special product launch of Agentic Systems for the global power sector and Agentic Systems for vertical integration of AI infrastructure with 24/7 carbon-free energy, followed by a panel discussion. We're honoured to host this session as part of Climate Week NYC here at the iconic One World Trade Center. My name is Laura Jones and I'll be guiding you through this morning's event. So we're gathered at a pivotal moment, a time when the power sector, AI, finance and climate action are converging to redefine the possibilities for industry, infrastructure and sustainability. It's clear that the challenges we face are immense. Power demand is rising dramatically, especially with the explosive growth of electrification and digital technologies like artificial intelligence. As electricity becomes the world's primary energy source, ensuring that our data centers, the engine rooms of the digital economy, are powered by clean, reliable, and affordable energy isn't just ambitious, it's absolutely essential for a resilient, sustainable future. Today, you'll hear how innovative agentic systems, like the one we're proud to launch, can create powerful synergies between the energy sector and advanced digital infrastructure. Our discussions will tackle real opportunities like how do we scale 24/7 carbon-free energy for AI and digital infrastructure? What does it take to make clean energy more accessible and bankable? And how can vertical integration of AI infrastructure, clean energy, and finance accelerate global inference platforms? To guide us in this conversation, we're privileged to have leaders here who are shaping the future of global energy and technology. Venkata Kathureddy, CEO and co-founder of Sustainability Economics.AI, who will set the stage with his keynote on the agentic system for the global power sector. Trey Simpkins, Director of Sustainable Finance and Advisory at SMBC, bringing the capital market perspective on how to make these transitions a reality. Naishi Ahuja, Fellow at the Intel Corporation with unique experience at the intersection of digital infrastructure and sustainability. And Rachel Swiatek, Senior Manager and 24/7 Campaign Lead at Climate Group, supporting momentum around round-the-clock clean energy. Of course, we encourage you to engage through questions and participate in this collaborative opportunity to inspire solutions and take concrete action. Before we begin, just a quick reminder, the Q&A will follow the panel discussion, so please note down your questions for later in the program. And for those seeking project collaboration or a deeper dive on our CLEM platform, our team is available via contact@sustainabilityeconomics.com. Thank you for joining us and for your commitment to clean energy innovation and to shaping the future of power, data, and sustainability. It's now my pleasure to hand over to our keynote speaker, Venkata Kasu Reddy.
Thank you, Laura. All right. Hey, thanks, Laura. I see the attendees spread across different theaters, different time zones. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the folks who has taken time to attend our event. So let's get started. Today, I'm very proud to announce that we are going to launch a flagship platform, Agentic System for global power sector, as well as Agentic System for AI infra, vertical integration of AI infra with clean energy and finance with sustainability first approach. So with that, let me start with the power sector. Like we all know that power sector is booming. What that means is we are talking about growing at the rate of 4%. That's for the developed countries. Even in the developing countries, if you look at it, we are talking about anywhere between 6 to 8%. And the important factor is power sector is becoming an economic and GDP growth for any country. So it's playing a very pivotal role in terms of driving the economies of the country, and it becomes a backbone of digitalization. And of course, with AI coming in, power obviously is the key. I mean, without power, there's no intelligence coming out. So let me give some perspective around what's going on the AI side, which is a very hot topic. So if you look at, let me articulate with some key data points. If you look at on the Google search, it used to take something like 0.3 watts kind of a power consumption for every search. Now with standard LLMs, we are talking about 10x. And if you look at the frontier models today, it's all completely dominated with reasoning models. All the leading vendors, they use the reasoning LLMs to bring that more intelligence. So what that means is from the power side, we are talking about an increase of 100x. That's the kind of a consumption we are talking about. And just to give a perspective around the inference side of it, inference is about people start using the frontier models. Microsoft in their cloud platform, they recently announced that they consumed 100 trillion tokens. That's just in one quarter. That's like 5 times increase from the last year. Just in the month of March, we are talking about 50 trillion tokens. That's huge. So they just started. I mean, I'm just talking about the Microsoft numbers and think about with Amazons, with other hyperscalers like Google, etc. The number is growing. And at the same time, just to give a context, just 2 days back, there's a partnership. There was a partnership announced between NVIDIA and OpenAI, and they're planning to do this $100 million AI infra. But the key challenge, it's all over the news, like, they need 10 giga capacity. And now the question is like, will you get that power? Will you get that 10 giga kind of power? And it has to be a clean power, right? To make sure that we are moving in the net zero transitions. So in summary, power is becoming a backbone for AI. Without power, there's no AI. So with that, what it means to the data centers. So if you look at on the data center side of it, we are talking about the data center electricity demand doubles from now to 2030. And we are talking about 2035. So just to put that into perspective, let's take in United States itself, the power demand from now to 2030, 40+% of that is coming in from AI. In advanced economies, we are talking about 20+%. In China and countries like India and other emerging countries, given the volume, we are talking about anywhere close to 10%. That's a big numbers. So let's look at what's happening on the clean energy. So if you look at the coal side of it, this is the chart from 2023 to 2024 comparison. The good news is the coal is coming down, but it's still there, but it's coming down compared to the previous year. Natural gas is growing, obviously for all the right reasons that AI definitely is one of the contributor. Given natural gas needs that base load. So that's where the natural gas is playing a very important role there. And nuclear is picking up, especially with SMRs, but saying that it takes a couple of years. It's not like the technology is readily available today. It takes some time. And we see a lot of press around hyperscalers getting into these SMRs as a co-located options. The best part of nuclear SMRs is like it kind of gives the base load, which is very much needed for AI data centers. Solar wind is something, there's a lot of traction out there from past decade. There's a lot of progress and it's growing. That's a good news. And of course, hydro is again a fantastic, I can tell you, like clean energy source, which gives that base load. So there's a lot of action happening on the renewable side. That's an interesting part. But saying that, still we see that emissions are still rising. So that's kind of coming from the fossil fuels. So it's very important to make sure that the emissions are under control. So it's super important to transition to the clean energy. But saying that, transitioning to the clean energy needs a system level holistic approach. We have to look at first, we have to look at the existing fossil fuels and then transition to the clean energy. The second bucket we feel is very important is acceleration of 24/7 carbon-free energy for commercial, industrial, and residential sectors. And the third important pillar is super important is on the AI infra. The AI infra, as the build-outs are happening at 100 gigawatt or kind of a scale, it's very important to look at the 24/7 carbon-free energy approach. This is super important to achieve the sustainability. So these are the challenges we have today. It's not like every activity brings a lot of nuances out there. Let's start with the fossil fuels to clean energy. This needs that it's a very heavy lifting. Like, it's not like you take the COPP plant and move to the clean energy. It's not that straightforward. It needs a lot of planning, a lot of intelligence, the due diligence, the economic gap. So we have a fantastic solution called CLEM transition. I'm going to talk about at the later part of the presentation. It's completely built on agentic systems. So I'll touch more in that space. The second pillar about 24/7 carbon-free energy is super important. So this is the real transition. We have Rachel who's leading these efforts. We can hear a lot of expert advices from her. She leads the standards of 24/7 carbon-free energy. So this is super important for the demand side to transition into. So again, it brings in a lot of nuances out there. We have to look at the load versus supply mismatch. We have to look at the accounting part of it with granular certification. procurement strategy, and of course aligning to the regulatory and policy support. It needs a lot of attention and heavy lifting. We have fantastic solutions which I'm going to talk about. The same thing applicable for the data center side of it. Data center, the AI infra is growing. We are talking about the capacity of 100 megawatt, at least the minimum scale we are talking about. And nowadays we see that the leading hyperscalers are targeting somewhere around the scale of giga and above. So there's a lot of heavy lifting happening there. It's super important for us to make sure that this demand is more moving towards the clean energy direction. It's not kind of accelerating the fossil fuel. So that's very important. So what it means, we are talking about a very holistic approach, a system level approach. That's where we strongly believe that the power sector needs a very customized agentic system approach. What that means is it will have multiple agents working together. Later I will talk about our solutions, how we are aligning this agents concept in detail. So these are the mechanisms we need to make sure that we are capturing the deterministic and undeterministic behaviors, which is the need of the hour. So with that, I'm very proud to announce CLEM, an agentic system for global power sector. So this system, what we build, it kind of takes care of all the aspects what I just explained. It kind of works with the demand side, supply side, as well as on the finance. We have different use cases, different outcomes, very tailor-made to the respective personas. That includes supply, demand, and finance. I can probably say that this is the first of its kind exists today globally, where we bring in all these elements together. So that's where the CLEM stands very unique, and it will have the blend of the agentic systems with multiple agents packaged together to get that tailor-made outcomes for the customers. So with that, let me jump into the double click of those details. What is this CLEM all about? So it kind of, we have three important buckets. The first bucket is about, we have an agentic system built for fossil fuel to clean energy transition. That's the first element. The second element is we have an agentic system built for helping the demand to move, accelerate, and adopt the 24/7 carbon-free energy. And the third bucket we are talking about is very, very customized to the AI data centers. So with that, let me deep dive, double click into each and every solution, what we put together. If you look at all the fossil fuel to clean energy transition, so it's a very complex use case. It's not like you shut down the COPPs and start away on the clean energy. It's not the way it works. It needs a lot of planning. So our solution, what we put together, it kind of helps two important personas. One is the plant owners. The plant owners can be the COPP owners, the clean energy guys. They are an owner who has both COPP and clean energy, and they want to link this transition. So we work with them. We are currently working globally around 20 plus opportunities in this space. We have a lot of experiences, again, as we speak. Some of the highlights how we are going to help is, we do the due diligence. Due diligence is very important for transition. We have to look at the policies of the country. Energy security plays a very important role. The PPAs, what are the PPAs they have today? And importantly, the eligibility of the plant. Is this plant, what is the life remaining for the plant? What are the PPAs it carries? What are the cash flows we are talking about? All these aspects, our system will look in a very dynamic way. So we get into the transition strategy. The transition strategy is very important. The planning is super important because it's a multi-year journey. It's not like in 1 year, 2 years, you kind of do the transition. It takes at least a couple of years, at least in our experience, a minimum of at least a capacity of 1 giga and above. We are talking about a minimum of 3 to 5 years timeline. And importantly, it's very important to identify what technology you want to transition. So is it you want to get into the solar, wind, and battery combination, or you want to get into just solar alone or wind alone, or you want to blend with the other technologies like which are upcoming, like geothermal, etc. So our system is smart enough to kind of compose all these elements together and give a automated approach, explaining to the customers that what are the technology makes sense to transition, and it even gives you the dollars involved, the cost involved to build that transition. So it's a very dynamic system, the agentic system what we build. And importantly, in the transition, economic gap plays a very pivotal role. It's a key building. I can tell you a showstopper. So with our experiences globally working with different plant owners, the biggest thing is the plant owners also understands that they have to transition because these assets are getting standard assets. So they have to do the transition. But saying that sitting on a fantastic PPA with a good cash flows, always the concern is like who's going to take care of my economic gap? If I do this transition, I have to forego this dollars, and that's a big showstopper. So our systems will explain how we can handle the economic gap with this transition. One is we can plan the transition in such a way that the economic gap can be minimized. I won't say that completely avoided, but it can be minimized. And the other aspects we can look at is like we can explore the innovative other additional cash flows. So transition credits is one of them in that space where the transition credits can generate more the additional cash flows. It's driven by Singapore Government Traction Group. We are part of it. We are one of the methodology developer in that space, and that kind of gives you a good cash flows. But the challenge with that is today it's still in the nascent stage. It takes some more time to get into the mainline asset class. So a lot of the financial institutions are part of this initiative. There's a lot of support coming in. And I'm sure in the next year or so, this becomes a mainline asset class. And of course, our system comes up with a very innovative approaches, even to kind of how to repurpose the CFPP location into AI data centers. The CFPP locations, the fantastic part of CFPP locations is it has a good grid connectivity. It has the transmission lines, it has the grid connectivity, and you can see that this is the trend going across. Especially in the US, there's a lot of action going around how to pick up these CFPP standard locations and convert it to AI data centers, or even not only for CFPP locations, even we see the trend of picking up any industries which are not in working condition, but it has a good grid connectivity, so people are moving into that. That's a very unique proposition. So we mainly focus on the AI data centers and battery, building up the battery systems. So that also needs that good grid connectivity. And of course, the last but not the least is like the bankability. Bankability is super important. End of the day, the owner has to pick up this and has to plan for the shutdown, and parallelly has to build the alternative with the clean energy technologies, which is very capex intensive. So it's very important, to look at in that direction and make sure that the plan what we put together is bankable, so that they can go and raise the capital to build that the new plants and make sure that the smooth transition is happening. So that's a kind of a heavy lifting we do with, especially we work with the plant owners very closely and make sure that the transition is well addressed. Financial institutions are interestingly showing a lot of interest in our system. So we have leading financial institutions in US, Japan, and other countries using our systems already. So we see that some of the financial institutions already invested in the COPP and they want to get out of that. They want to have this smooth transition, so they are super active in this space. And interestingly, some of the financial institutions, we see that they see an opportunity in this transition, especially with transition credits coming in as an additional cash flows. There's an opportunity there. So there's a lot of attention out there. We're working with them, with the financial institutions. They're using our systems to kind of make sure that the transition is well planned. So with that, let me get into the double click of our platform. So we build this agentic system called CLEM transition. So what it does is, it has a prompt-based dashboard. So like how you have the ChatGPT kind of a thing, you have this prompt-based dashboard, and you just have to sit on the dashboard and type the client name and the country, and you get the complete analysis of the client, including your current state. It tells you the technicalities, the financial aspects of it. It kind of gives you the due diligence, the complete transition planning. It's a very heavy lifting. Currently, I can say that proudly. I can say that there are at least 20 plus customers using that, and they're very happy about it. So maybe in the follow-up sessions later, we will do some demos, the real examples. And of course, the transition eligibility and bankability plays a very important role. The system is smart enough to kind of automate the whole bankability aspects. By doing this kind of a transition in this timeline, with this technology, with the cost involved to build the technology and the cash flows, what we already have. So the transition, the bankability will be completely automated, right? It kind of tells you that, what is the IRRs, what are the NPV values. It kind of exactly gives you the details of what makes the project bankable, and it's easy for the client owners to approach the financial institutions, as well as it's easy for the financial institutions to get into those details. So it's a very powerful system. That's what we call step one. So the step two is all about once we have the agreement around the transition, this client is eligible, the owners, the financial institutions, the clean energy players agreed upon to do the transition, then we get into the detailed feasibility study. So the detailed feasibility study, again, our system automates the whole process. It kind of gives you that. And using the detailed study, you exactly know the nuts and bolts of what are the things to be taken care. And our system is in a real time. It's hosted in the cloud, and you can see the data. You can see the data in real time. Multiple parties can sit in and agree and disagree on the parameters, and you can see the outcomes. And of course, the final step is about the actual transition. So the transition, like I explained, it takes a couple of years, like we are talking about 3 to 5 years average in our experience. So in that space, you need the system, a single point where all the stakeholders can come in and agree and disagree and make sure that the transition is taken care of well. We are talking about a huge financial deployment. Just to give a rough estimation about, we're recently working on 2.6 giga capacity transition from coal-fired power plant to the renewables. So the renewables, of course, you need 3 to 4 times of it to compensate the CMPP. We are talking about close to $6 billion. So that's the kind of a capital we are talking about. So these are a huge heavy lifting. So it's very important to have a fantastic agentic system in place to kind of, take care of nuts and bolts of it. That's exactly what our system does, and that's what we call CLEM transition. So this is exactly what I touched upon. It's completely data driven. The beauty of it is we use our agentic system is a combination of deterministic layer and undeterministic layer. So we leverage the SaaS-based approach, as well as we take the blend of the agentic aspects. Our system is plugged into both the deterministic application layer as well as the undeterministic layer, that is to the agentic system orchestrator, which connected to the LLMs and then to the MCP and the data. So when the user types in the particular plant, it checks in the database. If the data is not available, it triggers the agentic layer. The agentic layer will go and fetch the data for that particular plant in just a fraction of time. And once you get the data, you can check that, whatever the data is missing, we go and prompt to the user that, this particular data we are looking from you. So once they punch in that, you get all the outcomes back. So that's the power we are talking about of an agentic system. Agentic system automates the whole process, which is the need of the hour. So in terms of the coverage, I can see that today in our system, we have 2,000 plus plants in our database. I won't say that it's complete data, but at least a basic data is already there. And we are talking about, we cover Asia Pac, EMEA, and Americas theater. Any plant globally exists, our system can cover the transition. So that's an agentic system we are talking about. You can pick up COPP in USA or in Middle East or in India or China. It doesn't matter, right? Our system is smart enough to get the data, and it puts up all the things in place for the owners. Whether it's a financial institution, whether it is a COPP owner or clean energy owner, the system will do a fantastic job. So if you guys are interested, please let us know. We're working with good number of financial institutions as well as the COPP owners. Happy to work with you guys and take it from there. The second important solution I want to touch upon is on the agentic system for accelerating 24/7 carbon-free clean energy. 24/7 carbon-free energy, especially for commercial, industrial sectors, it's super important. Just to give you, Rachel is the expert here. I don't want to steal her data points. So she's the person who's driving the standards. I'm very proud that there is a standards like this exists today, which is super important. So we work very closely with our C&I customers, and we strongly believe that we are not a great fan of annual accounting, so which is not real. It's just for optics, for accounting sake. It's not the real transition. We are super excited with 24/7 carbon-free initiative. Google started this, and Rachel and team is driving the standards. So we are very happy, want to be part of it. All our solutions, I can tell very proudly that is aligned to 24/7 carbon-free. So nothing short of it. So we believe in that. This is the real transition needed. This is where the local grids get more cleaner, and our systems are positioned for that. So in terms of what are the use cases we are doing here, definitely on the demand side, we work very closely with C&I customers, and we are talking about 20 plus countries as phase one. That's where our product market fit goes in. Of course, we'll be expanding as part of the phase two. So there's a lot of work going on there. We help customers. We define of course, 24/7 carbon-free energy is not at one time, it's a journey. So we sit with them, our system helps them to understand what is going on currently, what's happening with the demand and supply. And our systems will help to define the roadmap in terms of what are the different steps they have to take. So we look at clean energy mix. We use ML logics. We use the AI ML kind of engines to kind of match the hourly demand. Our systems can go up to 15 minutes long. It's not only the hourly, it's so as granular as 15 minutes. It can go and match the demand and the supply. And we have, our models are very flexible. We typically look at cheaper option, the economical, that's super important. And of course, reliability is very important, and of course, emission free. So these are the parameters we use in our logic to match the particular demand. And interestingly, we are looking at even matching the demand to the suppliers. It's not only matching the supply to the demand. We are looking at how we can take the demand and see how we can match to the supply. What part of the day you have more renewables and all. So we are building those intelligence engines on both sides. And of course, our system is now very smart enough to look at the accounting part of it. The granular certificates is super important. Without that, there's no proofs and all. It can't be complied to the standards. So, and of course, hourly procurement is the new trend. We help our customers to kind of make sure that they're negotiating, they're getting their hourly procurements with the respective IPPs. So in terms of the suppliers, we create we work with the clean energy suppliers. How we help them is our system will identify in that country where the demand is coming in, what kind of a technologies are needed, clean energy technologies are needed. If there is a shortage in the supply, we partner, we JV with the respective suppliers, and we help them to build it. We provide the finance for it. We do have a system called greenfund.AI, which helps to provide that finance to the respective players in that country, and we also will be part of that journey and make sure that the supply is taken care of well. And of course, the finance side of it, we identify bankable opportunities for the financial institutions, and of course make sure that their finance divisions are taken care of. All right, so with that, I want to highlight just a double click of how part of it. So we use this platform called CLEM.AI. So the CLEM.AI is a very intelligent platform. What it does is it kind of understands the power sources available in that location and use the AI ML logics to kind of get the demand requirements for the business owners. So let me just to double click on it, how this magic works. So first we look at the current state landscape, what's going on with that demand customer. Then we get into the, identify the beauty of our platform is you just have to provide the lat long of any country. So using that lat long we have in our database, our system identifies what are the clean sources available for that location. So that's a very fundamental starting point. So once we have the data in place, then we use AI and ML logics to match at 15 minutes granular based on the attributes like economical, reliability, and emission-free kind of attributes we use. And we come with a very customized, tailor-made, hourly matched solutions for the demand. And it kind of not only it's like in practicality, how it looks is, let's say 30% of solar, 20% of wind, 10% of battery, and another 20% from the grid, green grid kind of a mechanism. So it's very flexible, and we do have a customization options where the customer also has a preference that they want to blend natural gas at least 40%, and then the remaining 60% bucket you want ML to decide on the clean energy sources. You can do that. It's a very powerful system what we build. It kind of helps we already started working with a good number of demand side of it, the corporates, the software parks, especially the data center side of it. There's fantastic traction out there. Of course, the granular certification accounting is very important. So our system automates that process, and we do take care of regulatory reporting for the emissions for the respective countries. We understand the country's regulations in terms of their compliance towards the emissions, and our system will automatically generate the reports for the customer. And of course, we have demand side profile optimization also. We look at not only on the supply side and fix it to the demand, we take the demand and fix it to the supply. So we work on both sides. And of course, the bottom line is we make sure that the customer, we procure the hourly carbon-free energy to the customers, and the PPAs are very much, the procurement profile is aligned to that. So the system is very powerful, the CLEM.AI. And in terms of supply side of it, we work with the CLEM.AI. CLEM.AI understands exactly what are the challenges, what are the gaps we have, and it kind of captures for that country what kind of technologies are in demand and shortage on supply. That's what CLEM.AI does. So the CLEM enablement, what it does is once we identify that particular technology, we kind of go and do the due diligence and make sure that we capture that bankability. We do the checks and balances of bankability part of it. At the end of the day, you need to raise the capital. So it's very important to understand the demand as well as the importance of the capital, the bankability of the project. That's what the CLEM enablement does. And then we have greenfund.ai, which kind of goes and raises the capital for the customer. So it's kind of a holistic behavior. That's what we believe in. We believe in the concept of make it happen. So that's a very unique and value proposition by bringing in 3 different systems together. So this is what we believe in, the concept of vertical integration. So these systems can't work in silos. So today, if you look at this, most of the systems are working in silos. So our unique value proposition with agentic approach is we bring in that vertical integration where the systems will complement each other. So that's how this magic works. We call it as connecting the dots. So with that, coming to the target market, what exactly the markets we are targeting as part of the phase one? So we are looking at the product market fit. We picked up 20 plus countries that spans across Asia Pac, Europe, and Americas theater. Our agentic system today can cover 20 plus countries. This is just a phase one, and we'll be expanding. I'm talking about 20 plus countries, all the commercial and industrial demand owners, demand opportunities. That's huge. So that's what the system can cover. So now let's jump into the third very interesting topic, hot topic of AI. So the AI, if you look at from AI point of view, the data centers AI data centers are popping up. We are talking about at least a basic scale of 100 megawatt and above. And now we see that data centers, hyperscalers, and all the big vendors, they're planning for OpenAI, and the good example is recently NVIDIA and OpenAI partnership. We are talking about 10 giga capacity. So that's the kind of a capacity we are talking about, and definitely it has to be more sustainable. That's super important for the data centers what we are building, and of course the power plays very important. So we believe that 24/7 carbon-free energy is super important. It may not meet the 100% base load what data centers are looking for right now, but we should have a plan. We should have a strategy in terms of start somewhere like 50% and then start moving towards the 100%. And interestingly, our system has done a lot of analysis around this, and we figured it out that sometimes 80% is better off than 100% from economics point of view, right? The model says that. So there's a lot of interesting. That the beauty of our agentic system is you can sit on it, you can simulate, you can plan. If I go with 60%, how the numbers look like. If I go with 80%, how it looks like. If I go with 100%, how it looks like. So it's a very interesting scenarios, and data center needs that very much. Now let me introduce, so in data centers, we look at the existing data centers and we help them to transition, as well as the new data centers, whatever the new data centers coming up, we help them. And I want to introduce here a new approach. What we come up with is vertical integration of AI infra with 24/7 carbon-free energy and innovative financing. So this is a very important concept we believe. And given that inference is going to kick off, it's already on, and we see that there's a lot of demand getting into the inference side of it. We are talking about at the global scale, and these data centers has to be spread across. It has to be distributed. You can't have all the data centers in one location, in a centralized locations like what we have today with the training. AI training, if you look at the location, doesn't matter. It's more like building that front-end models. So their data centers can be anywhere. So that's what is happening today. You see 40% of our more data centers are in US compared to anywhere who are kind of building this front-end models. But that's going to change when you get into the inference side of it. So it's very important to have the global inference platform. So that's our ambition, and to build that kind of a global inference platform at scale, spreading across different countries globally, you need to have that vertical integration. You can't work in silos. AI data centers can't be working in silos to the clean energy and then to the finance. So all these three things has to come together. That's exactly what we have done in our solution. I'm proud to say that this is again a first of its kind, where we bring in all these three pieces together using agentic systems. The agentic system, we have multiple agents together, and we connect all these agents together which work in tandem to achieve that tight integration. So let me introduce, for AI data centers, we have this concept called AI platform. I'll talk more about it in the later slides. For 24/7 carbon-free energy, we have CLEM.AI, which we already talked about. And for financing, we have GreenFund.AI. So all these pieces will work together, all these systems, all these verticals will work together. And we have one common agentic system orchestrator, which ties all these pieces together. So let me double click into the NG-Infra.AI. So what exactly it does? So it's an agentic system with multiple agents together. So what we do is we go and identify what are the right, in any country, you name the country, like whether it is a country like USA or Europe or Middle East or India or Australia. In any country, you just name this system goes and identifies the locations, which are the right locations to go for building the data centers, AI data centers. We use the concepts like energy first approach is one of them. We first identify what are the places where there is clean energy abundances there. That's one of it. We look at the policy side of it. We look at the network connectivity. We look at the natural hazards free region. That's very important to qualify to be a type 3, type 4 data center. The system automatically does for it. So today, if you look at, there's a lot of manual things happening across US and other places where people go and figure it out and stuff. So our system can scale it well. You just have to, it's like a Google map for the AI data center locations. And it not only just identifies the location, it picks up the energy needed. That's where the CLEM.AI is helpful. So we bring in these two pieces together. And once we have those pieces in place, then we get the system is smart enough to come up with a design. Let's say I'm looking at building a 100 megawatt kind of a capacity, sustainability based data centers. So the sustainability means there's a lot of parameters to be taken care of. Like you have to look at your cooling side of it, the power infrastructure side of it, and you have to look at even at the ASIC level, like with the GPU level, what is the power it is consuming per token or per flop. That is the level we have to get into. The system can design the whole sustainability architecture, starting from your land to the power, and getting into the network connectivity, all that stuff. And then the IT side of it, the GPU layer, the cloud layer, the LLMs layer, and the runtime to get into that inference platform. And importantly, the third step is making it bankable. So it needs to raise a lot of capital. It's very important to have the bankability in place to raise that capital. So the system will help to kind of define that bankability, the sustainability first approach. The NG-Infra.AI is very powerful. We call it as AI infra with the sustainability first approach. It can help you to identify those opportunities at any part globally based on your preference. The other one is CLEM.AI, which we talked about. So it kind of helps to capture the, this is the first of its kind of an engine. So we are very proud of this for the simple reason that, it's not about producing the power. It's about being an intelligent system. You just identify the location, the system should be able to get you the optimal energy mix, clean energy mix. That's what CLEM.AI does. So it can cover any part globally, any country. So that's what the power of CLEM.AI. We use AI/ML approach for that. And then I want to spend some time on the GreenFund.AI. This is very interesting. I can call it as very flagship. So what we do is in the GreenFund.AI, once we identify the location, we identify the power, we identify the whole sustainability architecture and the dollars needed. So we create the SPVs. The SPVs is about the real projects which we create with different packages. We had energy campuses as one package where we talked about the land, the suitable land, and the clean power and the power infra. That's what we package it as energy campuses. The second package we get into is like data center campuses. That includes not only the land, power, and power infra, it even adds the building structures too, based on the capacity what we want to build. And the third package, we call it as a full stack inference platform. It kind of covers all the things what I mentioned, plus it even touches on the different layers of the architecture, starting from the GPUs to the LLMs, the cloud infra, and then to the runtime, and make it as a token as a service. So we work with a lot of partners in this space. We have partnerships with the chip vendors. We are partnering with the cloud infra guys. So our ambition is like, the system can tell you exactly what is needed, what is that SPV all about, and you have all the pieces in place, and for that particular country. So you have a choices. Let's take if you want to build a data centers in Japan. So you can log into our system. It has like a Google Map kind of an approach. You go to the Japan. It tells you these are the 4 or 5 opportunities you have with these packages. So that's a kind of a system we are talking about. And this system, we create the SPVs, and we are already working on a couple of SPVs across different countries. And this is super intelligence platform. We use that to create that opportunities. So with that, what is the scope? What exactly the scope? I mean, in terms of what we cover. If you look at, we cover our global markets. This system is so powerful. We can pick up any country globally, and we can come up with this combinations of energy campuses, data center campuses, and the full stack campuses, inference campuses. So that's how it works. And given that the capital intensive of the AI infra, there's a lot of innovative financing models have to be looked into. It needs a lot of capital. Some of the examples we talked about is Stargate is a 500 giga capacity initiative started, and Oracle is using their balance sheet to build, and OpenAI is paying the operations like an off-taker. Recently, we have seen NVIDIA partnership with OpenAI, and NVIDIA is interested to spend into equity side of it, and supply the equipment, of course, if they charge for that equipment. So there are a lot of emerging financial models getting evolved, and our systems like GreenFund.ai kind of covers all the latest different financing models. So that's the beauty of the GreenFund.ai. Later, we'll hear from SLBC more thoughts around it, how they see the financing is evolving in this space. So I can probably say that, again, GreenFund.ai is the first of its kind in this space with agentic systems. We use agents, and we automate a lot of this process at scale. That's the beauty of our systems. So with that, thank you so much. I think we are top of the hour. I can probably say that these are the systems there available. And we will have more breakout sessions. We have country level sessions going forward. And if you guys are interested to see to work with us in any of the solutions what I talked about, whether it is on the demand side, supply side, or on the finance side of it, we are happy. And of course, the AI. AI is going to be our flagship solution with the vertical integration to clean energy and finance. So we are happy to work with you guys, looking forward, and please feel free to reach out to us. And we will also be doing a lot of breakouts across different countries. The 20 countries is one we are targeting to start with. You'll see more workshops from us. And thank you so much again. If any questions, I'm happy to take any questions. Do you have any questions, Laura?
Fantastic. So yes, thank you for that. If anyone has any questions, we have time for a few now before we break. So if you can drop them in the chat, then we'll pose them and provide answers for you. Okay, we have a question here. How do we incorporate country-level idiosyncrasies on the model?
How do we incorporate the country level?
Country-level idiosyncrasies on the model.
See, we have, depends on the use case. So we have a mechanism to collect the data, to collect the nuances involved for that particular use case, whether it's a transition or adoption or a new AI data center kind of a modeling. So we use different data sets. We already have in our system a good number of data sets already plugged in our database. And we do have integration to the agentic systems. If you don't find the data for that particular use case, the system automatically redirects to the agentic orchestrator. The agentic orchestrator internally will pick up the right LLMs and then MCP servers and then get into the, it depends on the query, it can get into the web API or it can get into some of the databases what is plugged into the agentic systems. So we use mainly reasoning LLMs. So the reasoning LLMs are smart enough to break it down into different steps and what to be done in the next step. There's a lot of engineering goes into this. So I can tell you that the secret sauce of our solutions. So that is where we believe that agentic systems are the need of the hour. So today, if you look at LLMs like ChatGPTs and all, they can't give you the customized requirements, what the demand guy is looking, what supplier is looking, like what the transition is looking. These are heavy lifting, customized ones. So that is where this is beyond LLMs. We use LLMs, but we use a lot of combination of deterministic and undeterministic mechanisms, and we blend these two things together. Even just I want to extend one more comment, like, even on the UI side, we use the UI from the SaaS layer, as well as we use the prompt-based approach, prompt-based, contextual-based approach to get the new blend of new scope. Anything we have to interact with the customers, we use the prompt-based approach. Anything that is a heavy lifting to be, churned and shown to the customer, we use a deterministic SaaS-based approach. So our systems are like a blend of a hybrid model of SaaS and agentic systems together. So we have an agent which has a combination of these two together, which is the unique value proposition, I can say. So that's where we stand out very different. And we can go to any country, we can pick up any country, and we can get those customized outcomes based on the use case, what the stakeholder is looking for. That's the power of agentic system. That's where we believe in, that's where our solutions are.
We have another question here. So my name is Vikas Kumar, and I'm a power sector modeler at the Suda Foundation. I'd like to ask whether this agentic model is capable of performing real-time dispatch or optimization models, or is it primarily focused on analyzing historical and current data to generate forecasts and insights?
So we do both.
Okay.
So if you look at the way we do the matching, especially in CLEM.AI, for example, we look at the forecast. We have data sets, historical data sets, as latest as 2025, coming in from NASA. I mean, there's a lot of databases out there which provides that. We don't just believe on one. We pick up those multiple data sets coming in from different standards, and we use that for forecasting. And our system is smart enough to get the real time also blended into that.
Okay, great. So if there are any other questions, we will have another opportunity for questions after the panel. Thank you so much for that fantastic keynote. We are going to take a 10-minute break now. So in Eastern time, we'll be back at 11:13 a.m. And we will continue with our panel discussion.
Sustainability economics.AI, headquartered in Singapore with offices in USA, and a major development center in Bangalore, offers comprehensive end-to-end solutions that prioritize sustainability and leverage cutting-edge AI technologies. Our vision is to accelerate the transition to a low-carbon economy by advancing clean energy solutions and developing AI systems that help businesses operate sustainably and achieve net zero goals. We focus on two key sectors: clean energy and AI. In clean energy, we drive the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy by using CLEM transition and accelerate clean energy development via CLEM enablement. In AI, we transform businesses through AI agentic systems that drive innovation, like CLEM.AI and GreenFund.AI. Additionally, we are building world-class AI factories and enabling intelligence as a service on a global scale through NG-Infra.AI transitions and NG-Infra.AI enablement. Our approach is driven by a customer-first mindset, delivering end-to-end solutions that seamlessly connect the dots, turning our vision into reality. Our business model is built on partnerships, working closely with stakeholders to drive profitability through our Make It Happen mindset, while ensuring the benefits are shared by all. Our innovative solutions have a global focus, with priority markets across the Asia-Pacific, EMEA, and the Americas. By focusing on two megatrends, clean energy and AI, we're positioned to unlock multi-trillion-dollar TAMs. Sustainability Economics.AI is led by our CEO and co-founder, Kasu Venkata Reddy, a seasoned global corporate C-suite executive with over 25 years of visionary leadership, previously served as the CTO of Cisco, spearheading multi-billion-dollar initiatives on a global scale. Connect with us at www.sustainabilityeconomics.ai to learn more. Sustainability Economics.AI, headquartered in Singapore with offices in USA and a major development center in Bangalore, offers comprehensive end-to-end solutions that prioritize sustainability and leverage cutting-edge AI technologies. Our vision is to accelerate the transition to a low-carbon economy by advancing clean energy solutions and developing AI systems that help businesses operate sustainably and achieve net zero goals. We focus on two key sectors: clean energy and AI. In clean energy, we drive the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy by using CLEM transition and accelerate clean energy development via CLEM enablement. In AI, we transform businesses through AI agentic systems that drive innovation, like CLEM.AI and GreenFund.AI. Additionally, we are building world-class AI factories and enabling intelligence as a service on a global scale through NG-Infra.AI transitions and NG-Infra.AI enablement. Our approach is driven by a customer-first mindset, delivering end-to-end solutions that seamlessly connect the dots, turning our vision into reality. Our business model is built on partnerships, working closely with stakeholders to drive profitability through our Make It Happen mindset, while ensuring the benefits are shared by all. Our innovative solutions have a global focus, with priority markets across the Asia-Pacific, EMEA, and the Americas. By focusing on two megatrends, clean energy and AI, we're positioned to unlock multi-trillion-dollar TAMs. Sustainability Economics.AI is led by our CEO and co-founder, Kasu Venkata Reddy, a seasoned global corporate C-suite executive with over 25 years of visionary leadership, previously served as the CTO of Cisco, spearheading multi-billion-dollar initiatives on a global scale. Connect with us at www.sustainabilityeconomics.ai to learn more. Sustainability Economics.AI, headquartered in Singapore with offices in USA and a major development center in Bangalore, offers comprehensive end-to-end solutions that prioritize sustainability and leverage cutting-edge AI technologies. Our vision is to accelerate the transition to a low-carbon economy by advancing clean energy solutions and developing AI systems that help businesses operate sustainably and achieve net zero goals. We focus on two key sectors: clean energy and AI. In clean energy, we drive the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy by using CLEM transition and accelerate clean energy development via CLEM enablement. In AI, we transform businesses through AI agentic systems that drive innovation, like CLEM.AI and GreenFund.AI. Additionally, we are building world-class AI factories and enabling intelligence as a service on a global scale through NG-Infra.AI transitions and NG-Infra.AI enablement. Our approach is driven by a customer-first mindset, delivering end-to-end solutions that seamlessly connect the dots, turning our vision into reality. Our business model is built on partnerships, working closely with stakeholders to drive profitability through our Make It Happen mindset, while ensuring the benefits are shared by all. Our innovative solutions have a global focus, with priority markets across the Asia-Pacific, EMEA, and the Americas. By focusing on two megatrends, clean energy and AI, we're positioned to unlock multi-trillion-dollar TAMs. Sustainability Economics.AI is led by our CEO and co-founder, Kasu Venkata Reddy, a seasoned global corporate C-suite executive with over 25 years of visionary leadership, previously served as the CTO of Cisco, spearheading multi-billion-dollar initiatives on a global scale. Connect with us at www.sustainabilityeconomics.ai to learn more. Sustainability Economics.AI, headquartered in Singapore with offices in USA and a major development center in Bangalore, offers comprehensive end-to-end solutions that prioritize sustainability and leverage cutting-edge AI technologies. Our vision is to accelerate the transition to a low-carbon economy by advancing clean energy solutions and developing AI systems that help businesses operate sustainably and achieve net zero goals. We focus on two key sectors: clean energy and AI. In clean energy, we drive the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy by using CLEM transition and accelerate clean energy development via CLEM enablement. In AI, we transform businesses through AI agentic systems that drive innovation, like CLEM.AI and GreenFund.AI. Additionally, we are building world-class AI factories and enabling intelligence as a service on a global scale through NG-Infra.AI transitions and NG-Infra.AI enablement. Our approach is driven by a customer-first mindset, delivering end-to-end solutions that seamlessly connect the dots, turning our vision into reality. Our business model is built on partnerships, working closely with stakeholders to drive profitability through our Make It Happen mindset, while ensuring the benefits are shared by all. Our innovative solutions have a global focus, with priority markets across the Asia-Pacific, EMEA, and the Americas. By focusing on two megatrends, clean energy and AI, we're positioned to unlock multi-trillion-dollar TAMs. Sustainability Economics.AI is led by our CEO and co-founder, Kasu Venkata Reddy, a seasoned global corporate C-suite executive with over 25 years of visionary leadership, previously served as the CTO of Cisco, spearheading multi-billion-dollar initiatives on a global scale. Connect with us at www.sustainabilityeconomics.ai to learn more. Sustainability Economics.AI, headquartered in Singapore with offices in USA and a major development center in Bangalore, offers comprehensive end-to-end solutions that prioritize sustainability and leverage cutting-edge AI technologies. Our vision is to accelerate the transition to a low-carbon economy by advancing clean energy solutions and developing AI systems that help businesses operate sustainably and achieve net zero goals. We focus on two key sectors, clean energy and AI. In clean energy, we drive the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy by using CLEM transition and accelerate clean energy development via CLEM enablement. In AI, we transform businesses through AI agentic systems that drive innovation, like CLEM.AI and GreenFund.AI. Additionally, we are building world-class AI factories and enabling intelligence as a service on a global scale through NG-Infra.AI transitions and NG-Infra.AI enablement. Our approach is driven by a customer-first mindset, delivering end-to-end solutions that seamlessly connect the dots, turning our vision into reality. Our business model is
Great. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We will now begin our panel discussion, Agentic Systems for the Global Power Sector, with our moderator, Venkatu Kasu-Reddy. And our panelists we have here with us is Gabuz Ganol, Director of Country Engagement and Partnerships at IRENA, Trey Simpkins, Director of Sustainable Finance and Advisory at SMBC, Naishi Ahuja, Fellow at the Intel Corporation, and Rachel Swiatek, Senior Manager and 24/7 Campaign Lead at Climate Group. Don't forget, if you have questions, please put them in the chat for the Q&A at the end, and we'll take it from here.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Let's get started. So the panel discussion will be on the topic of agentic system for vertical integration of AI infra with clean power and innovative financing with sustainability first approach to build a global influence line. So like I explained in my session, we build this solution. This is the need of the hour. Now we have a fantastic panel. So with the different expertise coming in from finance, the clean energy, the policy side, and sustainability of the data center expertise. So we have a fantastic panel today. So let's start with the opening remarks around, maybe want to hear out from you guys around, we talked about that today AI infrastructure is going crazy. I can see, like, we're talking about huge scale and so much action happening there. And if you look at the way it's working today, it's all more in horizontal, that is silent. AI infra, they look at the power and like a traditional way. And even on the finance side, if you look at it, finance treats AI infra as a real estate thing, portfolio, and clean energy comes on the infra side of it. Infra. So there is so much of disjoint out there, and we strongly see that that's the bottleneck for the scale which we want to drive AI infra. So it's super important to bring in all these pieces together with the vertical integration and with tying up with the agentic systems. That's exactly the solution what we build. So now it's time to hear out your comments and opinions in this space. Maybe I'll start with the Trey.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I think this is a very good point that up until this point, all of these elements getting together, the financing and all the pieces of AI and digital infrastructure has been pretty fragmented. I think when you have these things fragmented, it doesn't allow you to kind of optimize this AI and digital infrastructure from conceptual to execution. And so I think that thinking of all of these things together at one time or in the same kind of process is really super important for accelerating and optimizing the build out of digital infrastructure, especially as we kind of move into a world where AI is booming, like you said, very much over the last couple of years. And we're going to need to continue to build that out in order to keep up with computing needs and the AI kind of demand that we have in the market. So I think that's kind of where something like agentic systems can be very helpful to bring all of these elements together and kind of optimize this process. These things can be done quickly, efficiently, and kind of on a sustainable basis going forward.
Excellent. So, Rachel, what's your take on this?
Yeah, thank you. And before I answer, just thank you for having me on the session today. It's really good to be here representing Southern Group at this final week. And I really liked what you mentioned about a sustainability first approach there. Like, it's so important now more than ever. So it's good that we're questioning how these different aspects are operating and how we can make that work better to achieve sustainability. I actually think that we're a twin transition, the increased granularity going hand in hand with the digital revolution, sophisticating the energy and data management system. So the transition to AI is not independent of the 24/7 transition, it's a supporting factor in it.
Excellent. Thank you. Gurbuz, your comments, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this dialogue. And I would like to take this question from a holistic point of view and to give you Irina's perspective, how we see the interplay between energy, power, AI, and finance, because these are all three areas are obviously and very important to Irina's work going forward. Just to give you the scale we are talking about with renewable-based energy transition, I want to start from that, because we have been witnessing in the last few years record levels of renewable power deployment across the globe. We have seen last year 583 gigawatts of renewables deployed. And when we look at the figures in the last for 6 months of the year, we are expecting over 700, 800 gigawatts levels this year, at the end of this year. So, I mean, when you look at the renewable-based tripling goal that we have aligned with the climate commitments, and we envisage until 2030, 1,050 gigawatts. And we are now very close, and it needs a nudge now to achieve that level. But when we look at the overall power system installments, 93% of it's from renewables, and mostly from solar and wind, which are intermittent sources. And when we look at the overall picture, economics of renewables is solved. Now it is cost-effective and easily deployed at large scales across the globe, but the infrastructure problem challenge has not been solved. In 2024, 90% of renewables are cheaper than fossil fuel alternatives. But grids are not able to keep up with this deployment. And there are different numbers. I mean, one source says around 1,500 gigawatt, another source 3,000 gigawatt of renewables cannot come online because of grid problems. And many of these instances, it requires expansion, refurbishment, and digitalization. And flexibility is the missing link. And high penetration of solar and wind needs flexible power systems, and from generation to consumption across the entire cycle of power supply. And otherwise, I mean, without flexibility, we are risking ending up with stranded assets in many instances. AI is a flexibility. They can optimize existing capacity before new wires are built. I mean, in many instances, we see that before investing in new capacity, bring in digitalization and AI, you will create new capacity that you are not aware of. I was in a part of the panel the other day, And it was Google telling us that in one of their recent projects, by implementation of AI, they generated a 4 gigawatt of additional capacity, new capacity, without investing single dollars for infrastructure. So it is really an area where very economic gains can be made. Finance must be integrated, because when we're talking about the finance, we're talking about financing power system and generation to grids. We are talking about financing supply chains. I think it's one of the critical factors today, that supply chains, manufacturing capabilities are constrained. We are talking about data centers. We are talking about digitalization, and all together making the investment. And this is a really broad and it's a very intensive investment picture we have in front of us. Today, when we look at the climate finance, especially in emerging and developing economies, we need concessional finance. And what's the source of it? One main source of it is climate finance. But because the current climate finance taxonomy doesn't allow more than 40% of grid projects to qualify as to climate finance. So 60% are excluded today. So it's a kind of very really disconnect between the finance and what's going on with energy and AI investments. I mean, one critical thing that we should understand all, that grids are climate infrastructure. They have to be prioritized as they are the core climate commitment and infrastructure, and to integrate policy, technology, and finance dimension. This vertical integration reduces the investor risk, definitely, and ensure both clean power is made available for AI and also accelerates both energy transition, but also AI deployment.
Excellent, Guruz. Thanks for very deep insights, very good points. So we'll double click on the climate finance, the blended finance, very interesting topics. So maybe Derek from SMBC also can share a lot of insights on that. Okay, let's move to Naishi Ahuja is our Intel fellow. So Naishi, you want to take this?
Yeah, I will talk to this topic based on some of my experience in working on data center infrastructure. So if you look at a data center today, and it's not that it's not improving, things are improving, but if you look at data center as a whole, there is servers in a data center and there is the facility infrastructure. Today, there is a total disconnect, although the hyperscalers have come a long way and they have made that connection. But if you look at the servers, they have some of the data, which includes your power, your thermal, and your compute data. It gives you that information, but sometimes there are legacy systems in the data centers that is not giving you that information, or the source of data is not good, the quality of data is not good. Plus, the facility is controlling its cooling or power based on some physical sensors. So there is no connection between the supply and the demand in majority of the data centers. So that is the biggest issue of inefficiencies. If you can't understand what the demand is and how much to supply, you could be over provisioning your data center for cooling. You could be under provisioning, right? Each of that would result into inefficiencies. And with the demand of power going high, which is another problem, right? With this training of your large language models, the AI workloads, HPC workloads, that is creating so much demand on the power itself. The grid is getting overwhelmed, right, with the demand for this power. So we are not able to collect all this information to make like a guess on how much we should supply. So that's an issue. So now let's say if we were in a very ideal situation where we were using this AI agentics. So the first thing would be collecting data from all these sources in a standardized manner, right? So all this data cannot be exposed out as same protocols, right? They have different protocols. So if it is exposed out as same standardized APIs, then you could use that data to figure out what the demand is and optimize the cooling and the power based on the demand. So you will supply it on. So AI agentic is definitely very important. And you see all these hyperscalers are using some of these techniques, and you would see an article from Google. They save 40% in energy efficiency by using AI algorithms.
Yeah, so I think Naishi, that's a great point. What you touched upon. I think the initial part of the presentation we exactly talked about this. We have this solution called CLEM.AI, which looks at the demand and goes and matches the supply. It matches to the granular level of 15-minute slots. It looks at the cost economics. It looks at the reliability, and it looks at the emission free.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you touched a very good point about on the other side, like look at the demand and try to match the supply. Completely agreed. So that's exactly again our CLEM.AI does. It has to be two-way. Absolutely, I completely agree. It can't be just one way. I mean, matching supply to the demand, yes, it's a good start, but it's super important to look at from matching the demand to the suppliers to make sure that we meet the 24/7 carbon free. Yeah, I mean, we looked at I think you pointed very well, Microsoft and Google is doing a lot of good job there in terms of placing the workloads as per the wherever they find the renewables active in the space, they make sure that the workloads are directing to that particular locations. They call it a scheduler. The scheduler is to do that. That's exactly the system we have in our CLEM.AI. So thank you so much for fantastic inputs. Naishi. So let's move to the next. It's a great insight. It's a great opening. Now let me double click into the energy side of it. So I know we talked about in the data center sustainability first approach. So without addressing the energy, there's no sustainability. Right? We all know that sustainability energy plays a very important role. And now I mean we have this concept of annualizing, you can use fossil fuel in your grid, and you can go and buy the REX and you sit down at the annual level, at the global. It can be any part of the world. So now, like I explained in our presentation also, we strongly believe that 24/7 carbon-free energy is the direction we have to go when we talk about the real transitioning to the clean energy. So maybe from data center context, data center, when you talk about, we talk about high load factors are more, the base load is very high, and it needs the base load power. So given that, how practical we are to be to achieve 24/7 carbon free. So with that, I'll let Rachel, she's the best person. She's driving the standards, and thank you so much for that, because having standards is super important. That brings everybody a common ground, a baseline to look after. So we are really very thankful. Our solutions, I can say very proudly that it's completely aligning to the 24/7 carbon free energy. So with that, I'll request you to jump in and talk about what is this 24/7 initiative you guys are doing, and if you can give some perspective around how this is applicable to data centers, any use cases you see. I'm sure there are a lot of people in your initiative, part of it like Google's and Microsoft's. So if you can share some insights, that will be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And to frame it all, I'll go into first 24/7 carbon-free electricity itself. We also, like I see it, it's the next frontier in electricity procurement. And ultimately, it means corporates using electricity that comes from carbon-free sources like wind, solar, hydro, every hour of every day from local sources where it's being used. And the more businesses that move to procuring 24/7 CFE with local sourcing and hourly matching, that will help accelerate decarbonisation globally, because essentially you're tackling the hours where the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow. It means we can eliminate reliant backup use of fossil fuels in those hours. And so we are working with companies including Google, AstraZeneca, AirTrunk, who operate data centres across the APAC region. And they're currently piloting this 24/7 model as part of the Climate Group's 24/7 Carbon-Free Coalition pilot. And we work with coalition partners to show the benefits of hourly and locally matching, learn from one another as we move forward together towards 24/7 CFE. I like what you mentioned in your keynote about it being a journey to get there. It's definitely how we see it as well. And as part of the coalition's work, we produced the first ever global framework on 24/7 CFE, technical framework to guide corporates in making credible 24/7 CFE claims. And you spoke directly to AI and data centres as well, and the challenges there from companies that we are working with in this field. I mean, it's demand profiles are comparatively flat to other industries and round the clock. They're operating all the time. And in a very simple terms, you can't use solar at night. So that is the ultimate challenge. That they're looking at things like demand side flexibility and battery storage solutions as well. And our technical framework is the first to recognise credible use of those. And we are welcoming as a coalition new corporate partners, so feel free to sign up to our newsletter or express interest when joining our website. I'll pop links in the chat in a moment.
Excellent, very nice. And just know that you guys are using within the technical specs for sector like data center, like steel, cement, aluminium, something like that, or how it's working standards?
It's a global framework across all sectors, so it's not got sector or specific guidance within.
Do you have any plans going forward to kind of get into the sectors, especially given some sectors are very heavy lifting, like data center has its own nuances, like steel, cement, and all it has its own nuances. So any plans getting into that kind of a vertical specs?
Our plans at the moment is that we've gone into a 2-year testing phase with our corporate partners. So there'll be reviews every 6 months and take on feedback from those corporate partners that are across industries. Does include the AI sector as well. So it could be something we consider if we discover through that process that need is there. But currently we're just working with the one framework.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much again for all the good work. Really appreciate that made actually solution providers like us life easier. We can refer to the 24/7 self standards and people understand. Right, so irrespective of the countries, so everybody now getting very familiar and fantastic. So, Gurgus, you want to comment on the policy side of it? Where do you see that policy stands? I understand that some of the countries still not recognized 24/7 sector. Still, people follow the annual, RECs kind of matching. So, any insights from the policy side?
Yes, in fact, we're really talking about an explosive demand coming from AI data centers, and our expectation is to double it until 2030. I mean, in the longer run, and people are talking about a demand as big as Japan electricity demand. Yeah. But easily by 2030, a medium-sized country demand. This is a huge demand we are talking about. You mentioned about Rachel about the technology giants are driving it. In fact, deploying renewables are very much driven by them. And many of them already committed to 100% renewable supply by 2030, and creating a very strong pull for clean energy coming from that. And it's also some sort of a catalyst for cross-border interconnections. We see, especially in Southeast Asia now, because of the huge demand from data centers, and it's driving cross-border interconnections between countries, which were not high on their agenda previously. Now they are kind of making an effort to laying subsea cables with huge amounts of clean electricity transmitted to areas where the data centers are located. What's the kind of advantage of renewables when it comes to data centers and AI requirements? Renewables are quickly deployed, and they're scalable, easily scalable. I think this is very much fit with what AI requires, because AI also requires a kind of fast response in terms of energy requirements. And renewables, they don't take multiple years or even a decade to deploy, but usually they are online in 6 months. You asked me about the policy dimension. I think it's extremely important. Especially what governments need to do is to give clear signals that through long-term planning, through their commitments for net zero, through streamlining permitting processes, through designing markets that reward flexibility and resilience, I think they should provide this clear signal to the stakeholders. Ambition will set the direction. I mean, you have to be ambitious, and you have to set this ambition in the documents, in the national energy plans, in the nationally determined contributions to these climate commitments and different strategies, and credible MPCs will give strong signal. Finance, I think we need to look at the finance also in a different way. Maybe it's a bit different thinking, but instead of more profit first approach, it should be more impact first approach. And sustainability should be at the center of it, and failure to meet sustainability requirements will have repercussions. So I think this is a different way of thinking, which is not the case today. But if you want to really give credit to sustainability, this approach should be looked differently. Transparency and accountability is extremely important, especially mandating disclosure of data centers' energy use is very important. That will push operators towards 24/7 carbon-free power. Finally, the innovation. We should create an environment to allow for innovation, supporting digital infrastructure skills that is absolutely needed to be able to carry out. And it's also cross-sector planning, which will enable creation of an ecosystem, both for AI, energy, and finance going together.
Excellent, very nice. So maybe I'll bring in Naishi. You want to comment about the energy, the clean energy for data centers?
Yeah. So I actually, everyone would like to have this carbon-free energy 24/7. But what are the challenges right now, right? So I know that all the hyperscalers are looking at not using fossil fuels, but using the renewable energy, and they're investing into either solar, wind, or even like any of the nuclear plant for this, or are getting their data center built close to these renewable sources. But the challenge right now is that the demand of power is going very high, right? And with AI, right, with the training of the large language models, right, there is need of continuous stream of this source of energy. And also, if you look at the grid infrastructure, it's not right now able to monitor or procure things, right, seamlessly. There are challenges that need to be addressed. But what I would think, right, with this AI agentic approach, by orchestrating. So if you have a full pool of, like, let's say, this renewable energy, whether it's solar, wind, you will orchestrate or schedule some of these workloads to when there is the highest renewable energy available, right? So you can't have it right now continuously, which would be the norm going forward. But that's the challenge that we are dealing right now with a huge amount of energy that is being generated by these huge. If you look, like, just by what CoreWeave just announced their Blackwell Ultra rack design, it is getting close to, like, you would say, like 800 or like 300 kilowatts a rack, right? So that's just one rack is consuming so much of power. Now, is there equivalent renewable energy available to power that? Not in the beginning, but we will have to use the AI agentic to figure out ways to schedule workloads to that available power.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I completely agree. Agentic systems are super important to achieve this kind of a complex outcomes. So that's exactly what the solutions we are targeting. So thanks, Raishi, thanks for your comments. So let's move to the very interesting topic of finance. So obviously, when you talk about AI infra, clean energy, these are all very capital intensive, as classes. And I want to start saying that, so there's a lot of this innovative financial instruments we talk about. And A-Trunk is one of them, very pioneered in raising the funds using green bonds, SLRs. Is one of the new trend, and that is again something back to I see A-Trend. I know A-Trend very closely, and they do it in a very smart way. They kind of proactively build the clean energy and those sustainability attributes, and they package into that green financing model and are able to fetch the low cost of capital. Of course, it's a condition based. If you meet this kind of a criteria, then we are good to give this kind of a coupon rate, right? So that is something very often we are seeing in the market. And of course, there are a lot of investment models. We are talking about, like I explained, Oracle, Stargate, Oracle is using their balance sheet to build a big infra, and OpenAI is the off-taker, like operational guy, who's ready to pay for all this. And similarly, the recent one, NVIDIA with OpenAI, NVIDIA is ready to be an equity player. So they're ready to put their money as an equity guy, and OpenAI is an off-taker, and it's business as usual. And there was some, I was looking at some of the expert comments that it's like a round tripping. So you create a demand, you go and be part of your equity owner, that means you take the shots, and you know exactly what to buy, at what rate you have to buy, and that money again going back to NVIDIA. Right, so there's so much happening there. So given that, and I know you kind of dealt with recently $10 billion kind of the financing on the AI side. So given all that, maybe I think your expert comments to this subject.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we're bringing up and we've been talking about and kind of bouncing back and forth here is that hyperscalers and kind of some of these large digital infrastructure companies are the ones really leading the way on how this should be done. Right, how these assets should be packaged and financed. And I think the vertical integration here, packaging this data center and digital infrastructure build out with the clean energy, dedicated clean energy or co-located clean energy, and having that as one package where you can bring in investors at different parts of the capital stack and say, we have investors who are interested in the digital infrastructure part of things, the sustainability part of things, the expansion of clean energy generation on the grid. All of those coming together is kind of how you can source the very large amount of capital investment you need for these types of projects, because they are very capital intensive. They're very large projects. And I think as part of that, you can kind of employ some of these, new sort of, I say new, these levels have been around for a while, but leverage these sustainable debt instruments to kind of add a little bit more oomph to that financing and attract some diversified capital and some capital pools you might not otherwise have gotten interested in these types of projects had you been not integrating these clean energy solutions along with the digital infrastructure build out, right? So kind of attracting and matching that sustainable capital and these investors who are interested in the sustainability aspect with the full digital build out and kind of bringing that full circle. So I think you can leverage those instruments to show that there is a really impactful kind of aspect to doing the vertical integration and decarbonizing these assets, right? I think everyone wants to see these assets be more decarbonized. As we've been talking about, they use a ton of power. It's obviously better, I think, for everyone if this power is decarbonized, not only because these assets are more easily rolled out and less capital intensive, but also just that sustainability aspect, I think, is very important to a lot of the investors who come into these things.
Excellent. So on that, what's going on inside the financial institutions? I know that AI is treated as a real estate portfolio, AI infra, and we are talking about energy as infra portfolio as a class. So is there any efforts going on to bring these things together? And like we discussed, vertical integration is super important. And if efforts are going on, how do you handle the different life cycles? For example, if you're looking at AI infra, especially the GPUs, which take 70% of the cost, the life cycle is around 5 to 6 years with the end of sale kind of a approach. And on the energy side, the power sector, we are talking about PPA starts in 15 to 20 years.
Right.
So any insights on that?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I think that from the first part that you were talking about, AI and digital infrastructure having been kind of on the real estate side previously, I think you're seeing that evolve right now. I think you're seeing digital infrastructure and data centers emerge as such a large piece of kind of infrastructure that it's essentially becoming its own asset class, right? It's becoming its own piece of infrastructure within banking that's dealt with separately and apart from other pieces. So you're kind of seeing it come out of that out of that real estate space and kind of become its own piece of banking, where we have dedicated teams that are doing digital infrastructure and data center infrastructure, because it is such a big piece of things and it is ramping up so quickly. It's still somewhat separated from the financing that we do on kind of the energy side. I think that as these ideas of blending these things and vertically integrating kind of the clean energy generation with data centers evolves and kind of trickles down to what I'll call like the larger sponsors that are a tier below these hyperscalers we've been talking about, I think you'll see those be blended a little bit more as well and kind of bring some of those financing ideas, those teams together to work on these different aspects of things. And I think you were talking about kind of matching the life cycles of these things. So mostly when we work with sponsors, right, a lot of the sponsors, unlike hyperscalers, aren't operating these data centers, right? They're building out the infrastructure, and then the off-taker, the tenant for this infrastructure is going to be a lot of times a hyperscaler, who's then going to be the one that's entering into those agreements for the PPAs, the virtual PPAs, or handling the co-location of clean energy on those data sites. So those are kind of separated for now. I think if you are talking about hyperscalers, obviously they're integrating all that together because they're building the infrastructure and they're occupying and operating the infrastructure. Yeah. So there is a bit of a difference there too when you have that tier under the hyperscalers where all these things haven't quite coalesced yet. But I think it is trending more in that direction as sponsors start to think about these things and kind of take note on how the hyperscalers are integrating all of these things together. And I think that creates efficiencies, right? The hyperscalers are kind of working on that and realizing that this can create efficiencies to be able to integrate all these aspects together, where the sponsors are kind of still playing a little bit of catch up on that end.
Excellent. Very good. And just on the follow-up on the green financing, or we call ESG funds or different names to it. So we see the ticket size is very not that big. So any thoughts on that, especially with AI data centers? We're talking about to start with 100 megawatt capacity. We're talking with the latest GPU chips. We're talking about somewhere like $15 billion. So given that you see that there's more increase in the ticket size on the green side of it, especially the data centers are combined with the sustainability assets.
Yeah, absolutely. We've certainly seen the ticket size is starting to increase. I think there's a bit of opacity to that market because a lot of these transactions are done in a kind of project finance term loan style financing, which are a lot of times private transactions. So you might not be seeing them in the market all the time. But these loans are certainly out there that are, $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion for each of these financings on the sponsor side. So I think you're definitely starting to see more of that. You're starting to see more of these sponsors integrating sustainability metrics into these financings, typically on the energy efficiency side, but increasingly on the water usage side as well, as that becomes kind of a focal point of the digital infrastructure and data center build out. So I think you're certainly seeing that kind of ramp up, and I think that trend will continue, and that more and more of these sponsors and these hyperscalers will want to use labeled debt and labeled financing to kind of do these things. And I think that it attracts a lot of additional capital, but I also think it just adds, another aspect of transparency to these processes. When you can show the direct impact that you're having through energy efficiency or clean energy generation, clean energy procurement, and I think that has a lot of value to investors and to lenders as well.
Excellent, very good. And the other one is we see always. Sorry, a lot of questions.
No problem.
So it's a very interesting concept. Without that, nothing moves, especially with AI. So the other thing we always see is there are different type of investors, venture capitalists, the private equity, the pension funds, and debt players like SMBC, JP Morgan. I mean, every player comes with a different nuances. So how the risk is covered, because everybody's expectations are different. The business models are different, and bringing in that one umbrella around covering the risk for these different stakeholders. Any insights on that?
Yeah, so I think what's important about this is that these projects need to have financings at different levels of risk and seniority, so that you can get a blended capital stack where you can have equity players involved, you can have VC potentially involved at the beginning of these projects during the stage where you're de-risking, right? And then you bring in someone like a lender at the end where you already have the bankable structure in place where we can kind of backfill the financing. So I think it's about having kind of a blended capital stack on these projects where you have different levels of risk and investment, where investors can then make an informed decision about where they want to come into that blended capital stack, because investors are very good at figuring out where kind of the return and risk meet and where they want to be in that capital stack. And so I think as long as you offer those different pieces of potential investment, you can attract the investors to the appropriate levels. And I think de-risking those assets and getting to the bankability of those assets up so that we can come in and backfill on the lender side is kind of the important aspect of getting to the finish line. But at the beginning, I think a lot of these, obviously the VC investors, private equity, they want to be in this space. They want to be a part of this. You just have to be able to offer that investment ability to them. So.
And we always see that, especially debt players like SMBC, you look at the investment grade profile of the claims. Is that still the de facto, or is that getting changed with the?
I think that's changing a good bit. I think that American bulge bracket banks have always been willing to kind of move a little further down the credit spectrum into high leverage names below kind of investment grade, where I think Some foreign banks have shied away from that to some extent, but I think that as this market is evolving, as SMBC, for example, is evolving as a bank, we are certainly looking further down kind of the credit profile. And when we talk about, project finance style loans, we're really kind of looking at the cash flows and the return on those loans as an individual investment and or individual lending, and not so much at kind of the overarching corporate rating or investment grade rating of these assets. So it does make it a little bit easier for us to kind of assess these as an individual piece, not necessarily off of whatever corporate might be the ones that are kind of the umbrella over these assets, right? So especially on the sponsor side, right, where they don't really have that corporate structure like a hyperscaler might have to kind of fall back on and rely on, you really have to assess each of these assets on kind of their own merits.
And I just want to close with one comment. Like recently, yesterday, I was looking at Brian consulting from the board that they kind of come up with very good analysis that the current demand of AI infra, there is a shortage of $800 million. So that's the number they're talking about. So any thoughts on the financial institutions? I know it's a huge pump of demand. We all know that, and the kind of capital from SMBC point of view, you guys are something extra to mobilize into this AI sector, or?
Well, I would certainly say it's a very big focus. I think we are putting a lot of resources towards this industry and this build out, and I think that a lot of financial institutions are doing the same. And I think it's just going to be a matter of kind of accelerating our contribution to this digital infrastructure build out. I think the reality is it's just outpacing kind of the supply side of everything right now. Energy, capital, infrastructure, everything is kind of being outpaced by the scale of demand that we're seeing for AI. And so I think the capital exists. It's out there. I think it is willing to be in this, in this realm, in this digital infrastructure build out. I think it's just more of an exercise in making sure we get the capital out to these projects, right, and match the capital to these projects. And again, I think like you said, you see this aspect of where we're now approaching digital infrastructure as kind of its own almost asset class, its own kind of lending portfolio away from some of our other infrastructure assets that we finance. And so I think as that kind of builds out, we'll continue to put more and more resources towards that and continue to sink capital into this. And I think that's probably very similar for other banks as well. So I think that shortfall will be matched at some point.
Very nice. Thanks for all the fantastic insights. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we'll move to we'll come back to finance. We'll give some. We'll come back. So let's move to the sustainability part of it. I mean, sustainability is a big topic. I mean, in any context, like let's on the AI side of AI data centers, when you talk about sustainability, it starts with the land optimization, the water utilization, the power, the clean power, and then we get into the ASIC level, the GPU level, how effective it is in terms of for every token, what's the watt it's consuming, and then the cooling aspects of it. So it's a big subject. It kind of applicable at every layer. So maybe I'll take some Naishi, you want to jump in? I know you kind of involved in building the big fabs in Intel, big data centers. With your experience, if you can articulate some of the key aspects of the sustainability relevant from design architecture point of view.
Yeah. So if you look at sustainability, it ties to the carbon emission, right? So 90% of the carbon emission will come from your operational power, and then 10% from the manufacturing and all. So big chunk is that 90%. So if I want to start talking about holistically working on sustainability, you alluded to, right? It starts with building these data centers in locations where there is this free energy or renewable energy available, right? That's the first step that we will take. Secondly, that in terms of building these data centers and using innovative cooling solutions, now we could extend air cooling and start using free air cooling where climate conditions dictate. So in places like northwest of US, it's feasible to take advantage of the climate conditions and use free air cooling, which brings down the cooling infrastructures in data centers, and thus you are reducing that carbon emission from those infrastructures. But there are places like in China, India, or Japan, these free air cooling may not work because of the climate condition, because of humidity, and because of, let's say, temperature variation. So that's where you would start looking at alternative cooling solutions like liquid cooling, which would help you getting better PUE, power usage effectiveness. Thus, it helps with the sustainability goal also. So liquid cooling helps there. We have seen quite a bit of advancement in liquid cooling, but then we start prioritizing from the material that we are using, that is carbon free material. We start looking at, I did talk about that before, like the infrastructure management using the telemetry and features from the platform to tie that to actual cooling controls in the data centers or optimizing power in the data centers using the telemetry is going to become key to sustainability, right? So meeting demand with the supply, right? So that's another area. Server design will become modular. The reason I'm saying is should become modular, or we should look at modular approaches, whether it's for the servers, whether it's for the CDUs, whether it's for the power infrastructure, because if we don't do that, we are unnecessarily just hosting a lot of these infrastructure, which may consume a lot of energy. But if it is modular, you can add only when needed. So that is something that you need to look at. And then on the grid side of things, there should be a way to monitor and procure the energy, free energy, and there should be availability of battery storage, like storage devices, which is storing this energy so that when we need them later. So on a whole, I would say it starts with every layer, from the data center infrastructure down to the servers to the telemetry to build this holistic sustainability management system, or you could call it like that. I would also say that start regulating some of these metrics like PUE, power usage effectiveness, right? Mandating that you should have a PUE close to 1.3. Some of the countries have already started mandating. I think in Singapore and China, they're already saying that get your PUE below 1.3, otherwise you will start getting penalized, right? So that would help with the sustainability goals. So they have started looking at alternative cooling solution just to meet those goals. Reporting your water usage effectiveness, right? That is critical. Don't build your data centers in places where water is limited, right? So all those ideas come together to attain those sustainability goals.
Thanks, Nishi. Thanks for insights. So Rajat, you want to take this, your perspective?
Yeah, in terms of sort of how agentic systems, I guess, can contribute to carbon-free electricity mix. Yeah. So really, I see it as a tool, one solution in our toolbox to help build that carbon-free electricity mix and ultimately make it as simple as we can. We can use AI to do heavy lifting. I think you mentioned that as well in your keynote, and all on the data side and the grid balancing. Staff for one at companies would be grateful for that.
Yes.
And I think as well, I'd just like to reflect on even the session name here today. fairly long title with a reasonable amount of jargon that sort of we all here understand, but perhaps colleagues, execs, board members might not be so familiar with. So really, we need simple, and that's what AI can help with, to make things simple.
Excellent. Pleasure. Thank you so much. And Gurbu's, any comments from your side from policy point of view?
I would like to take it from global south point of view, because I mean, when we're having a discussion, it's important to have their perspective into the conversation, and where we see a lot of barriers at the moment, regulatory and administrative barriers. And one dimension that we are looking into and promoting is whether governments can create frameworks that reduce those hurdles and allow for experimentation, creating some closed spaces, test beds, where startups and innovators can come in and test AI-based energy solutions within that framework. And eventually that will lower entry barriers, attract investment, but also it will inform the policy making and developing right policies around it. I think this is one important dimension. The second important part is how we can create frameworks bringing public and private sector together and more closely collaborating. Especially the governments and tech companies can accelerate innovation, joint research, such as in areas optimizing battery materials, simulating wind power grids, allow both sectors to share knowledge, and that will reduce risks eventually. And finally, I think I have earlier also highlighted that part, is the skill development. I mean, skill development is critical. And there could be specific dedicated programs incentivizing skill development in countries in the global south. And because at the end of the day, we have scarce resources, and they have to be used in a most efficient way.
Excellent. Very nice. Very good. So moving on to the, I know we are getting top of the hour, very interesting conversations. I want to ask, like, with the kind of vertical integration you're talking about with AI infra and clean energy and innovative financing things coming together. So how do you see the future looks like, in the next 5 years, 2030? So if you can share your perspective, maybe we'll start with the trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I think in my mind, the future kind of looks a little bit like what hyperscalers are starting to do now. So we talked earlier about, I think it looks like more vertical integration from the perspective of clean energy generation, co-location with these dedicated data center assets. I think that's kind of going to be vital, especially in the US, for being able to get that power on demand when you need it, and carbon free, and kind of that sustainability aspect of it. I think bringing those two things together and then grouping those assets in a financing package where you can attract investors and lenders who have vested interest in the digital infrastructure build out, the expansion of clean energy generation, and then sustainability impacts is going to be really important for kind of the continued viability of digital infrastructure and decarbonization of digital infrastructure as we go forward.
Excellent. Very nice. So Rachel, what's your final comments?
Yeah, definitely second what Trey was saying there. We agree with that vision. I also see that success in 5 years' time is more carbon-free energy deployment, it's battery storage, it's flexibility, and ultimately will have enabled a completely carbon-free energy growth for your business. And it's a journey, and it starts with a single step taken today. So just to settle down again, and we're welcoming new corporate partners to the 24/7 coalition, which is a supportive learning community to prepare for the 24/7 transition. So again, feel free to contact me, sign up to the 24/7 newsletter, and express interest on the coalition website.
Excellent.
In my view, there are several ways of measuring success. Building on what Rachel said, obviously our ultimate objective is 24/7 carbon-free data centers, but it's actually happening. Carbon-free energy coming every hour rather than offsets are happening as we see today. The topic of discussion is integration and how this integration can be unlocked. Whether it will be unlocked and this power, AI, and finance, they will be planned and funded simultaneously in a way that will allow for faster deployment, reducing risks and accelerating the deployment both on energy and AI side. I think one important dimension of success, in my view, is local value creation, because that will eventually define how governments will be interested on the topic or not. And if you are able to create jobs, create economic activities around that at the local level, that will make it much more easily happen. And I think policy alignment at the end of the day is very important to be able to also the finance to have a more favorable approach to taking both energy and AI together. And if governments are able to define objectives and plans in an integrated way rather than separate on energy and on AI, and that will enable also the bank's financial community to look into the picture. At the end of the day, they are responding to the demand. So if demand comes in that direction, I think the transformation will take place much faster.
Excellent. Thanks, Guts and Neshi.
So what I see going to happen in 5 years from now, although that has started happening with the hyperscalers, I'm looking at a fully automated data center, which is using these renewable energy sources on demand. And then also, in order to even build this automated data center, I'm also looking at a standardized way to report out this data using APIs, right? That is critical to even start building this automated data center. So that's what I will see. I'll also see a robust monitoring and management system that will help us to optimize power and cooling based on demand.
Excellent. Fantastic. All right, so we'll take any questions from the audience. Any questions from audience?
Okay, so yes, if anyone has any questions for panelists, please drop them in the chat now. We do have one question from earlier. Tom asks, it was mentioned that you would reduce strain on the grid. Is this only possible if the DC has its own storage, or do you have anything else to add to that?
Maybe Naishi, you want to?
Yeah, I agree with that statement that you will need to have some of the storage of this renewable energy and use it when there is increased demand. So one of the challenges that is there today is that we don't have enough storage of those renewable energy, but that's the right direction we should be going into.
Yeah. I think just to add to that, the demand response is very important. Data centers having storage by itself can become more like a demand response kind of an entity than being a burden to the grid. So based on the grid behavior, the data center should be able to be flexible to adjust accordingly. If there's sort of grid is getting loaded, so there has to be a mechanism for data centers to slow down, and vice versa. Like if the grid is easy and there's a lot of energy out there, even the data centers can push some of the energy to the grid. So I think it's a very important trend we are seeing. I strongly believe that data centers should play that role than being a burden to the grid. So it's like altering it by making it more elastic in nature. So that really helps. Yeah, that's the need of the
Maybe just to add to that, I think what we are promoting, advocating for is the flexibility across the entire system. It is no longer an issue of grid flexibility. It is about different points, different segments of the value chain where you can create flexibilities. Not only the supply issue, it's not only the demand issue, but in between what's happening, where do you place your storage, where do you have those availabilities, where do you have interconnections that you can balance or run your system more optimized way. I think each and every case should be investigated with their own givens and what flexibility measures we can integrate into the system. I think this has to be defined accordingly.
Yeah, great point. Yeah. So any other questions?
Yeah, we have one other question, which, we already touched somewhat on sort of policy and regulatory support. So we might have covered this, but I'll give you the opportunity to sort of address it directly. Someone asks, do the economics of biomethane production, upgrading and supply stack up for powering data centers, and what policy regulatory support would make it competitive?
So wonderful.
Biomethane is not currently in our technical criteria as it says. We do keep a watching brief on all emerging technology, so it's something that we're always open to reviewing as the evidence comes to light as to where to set that threshold for kind of what we're classing as sustainable, whether there's kind of a credified, verifiable way we can say that that has been produced and is being used. So at present, I don't have much more to say on that particular technology, but perhaps
bioenergy, the main issue is the feedstocks and reliability of feedstocks. As long as you're sure and you're able to provide that, and other than that, I think it is taken into consideration same way as solar, wind, and other renewable energy technologies. As long as there is a reliable supply of energy into the system.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good point. Like you touched on biomass, for example. It's not like one size fits all. Like I give an example of one of the players in Japan. They started this 5 years back, and at the time the feedstocks are very cheaper. They used to import from Indonesia, and now Indonesia is growing in demand for biomass, and the prices have gone up. And the plant now in Japan, they're running in losses, and they want to kind of offload that. So it's a very tricky situation. And similarly, we have seen through our systems in renewables. So, for example, certain countries, the COs are very low. Like that may not be a good fit for wind, or that may not be a good fit for solar. So there's a lot of science behind, and that's where our systems are intelligent to pick up the location and identify the right sources for that location. And then you start doing the AI-based mapping to the demand and come up with that customized version. So a lot of intelligence needed. It's not like at the high level we say that clean energy, wind, solar, battery, and nuclear, geothermal, hydro, and of course nature gas. Nature gas also nowadays people are claiming that with carbon capture, they're also claiming it's free emissions kind of an approach. So there's a lot of action out there. It needs that tailor-made laser focus approach in terms of identifying a strategy and a energy mix for the particular customer location based on the location. That's exactly what our CLEM.AI does. All right. So any final question?
I think that's
good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So thank you so much. It's a fantastic panel, and thanks for all the expert advice. So my closing comments is it's really important to have a vertical integration of AI infra with clean energy and finance, the sustainability first approach. That's the way to go. That's what we believe in. That's where the solutions, what we are bringing up to the market. And thank you again for echoing the same, and really appreciate coming in from finance, energy, policy, and data center sustainability expertise. So fantastic conversations. Thank you so much again for your valuable time and insights. Thank you. Brilliant.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.